Hey y'all, welcome to Remote Viewing Investigations with Jessica. I'm your host, Jessica Jones. We'll be peering through the veil to shed light on mysterious cases from all over the world. We invite you to join us on this magnificent journey through space and time to try to unravel these mysteries. Please don't forget to give us a thumbs up, share this out, and subscribe to Texas Front Porch and to my channel, The Cryptid Huntress, on YouTube. You can find us on Odyssey Radio and iHeartRadio and can contact us at Texas Front Porch on Facebook or email us at paracryptidencounters@gmail.com and oracleofthesouth@gmail.com. You can reach us through text at 972-559-0988. If you'd like to support us in what we do here, our super chats are open. Thanks and enjoy the show. Hey y'all, welcome into Remote Viewing Investigations with Jessica Jones. I'm your host, Jessica Jones. I am so glad every one of you is here tonight. We are going to have a really good time. My target this week was something very unique and very peculiar. It is the Coral Castle down in South Florida. It is a tourist attraction today, but this place is very odd. I'm going to read to you guys about it, and we're gonna get to the show. Okay, so Coral Castle is an oolite limestone structure created by the Latvian-American eccentric Edward Leedskalnin. It's located in unincorporated territory of Miami-Dade County, Florida, between the cities of Homestead and Leisure City. The structure comprises numerous megalithic, spit it out, Jess, stones, mostly limestone, formed from coral, each weighing several tons, 1,100 tons in total. It is currently a privately operated tourist attraction. Coral Castle is noted for legends surrounding its creation that claim it was built single-handedly by Leedskalnin using reverse magnetism or supernatural abilities to move and carve numerous stones, each weighing many tons. Ed would only say that he knew the secrets used to build the ancient pyramids, and if he could learn them, you could too. Yes, this is a very interesting target tonight, and I was very I wanted to look into how he actually moved those stones all by himself. I mean, that's a big job for one guy. He was only about 5 feet tall and 100 pounds soaking wet. Okay. So it wasn't, it couldn't have been an easy task. So I remote viewed this. And I also had my friend, Miss Tanya Braddock, the existential empath, who is a remote viewer. She remote viewed it as well. And she's actually been there before. So I'm going to bring up Miss Tanya. Welcome to the show, Tanya. Hey. Tanya, thank you for being here. Hey,
thank you for inviting me. I can hear you.
Okay, perfect.
Are we okay?
Perfect. Loud and clear. We're good. Yes. Okay. Well, Tanya, you used to live in Florida and you've been to the Coral Castle. Can you tell me about your experience there?
Yeah, so it was years ago. I mean, gosh, it had to have been 20 years ago. It was a really long time ago, and it was before I was working in energy. And all I really remember is that it was fascinating. I mean, he had built this for his love, this woman that I guess had kind of broke his heart or something. So he had built it, and they had these huge stones. And I remember it being near the ocean. It was on, kind of on the east coast of Florida. And it had like moon shapes. And at the time, it just seemed very, like a really neat sacred site, so to speak. But yeah, there's the picture. So it'd be really fun to go back now that I understand energy and to really get a sense of it. But I did call a friend who just went there about, a few months ago, maybe. And he said you could really feel and sense the energy there. He's highly empathic and intuitive. And there was a lot of kind of strange paranormal stuff, that was going on there. So yeah, so it's really a neat location for sure.
Yeah. Well, you know what? what really stands out to me is all the paranormal activity there. And it seems to be just an area of high strangeness. So I'm going to go down the list of some of the paranormal experiences that people have had there. Okay. They have floating lights, balls of fire in the sky, orbs, mist, strange forms captured on pictures, constant electronic malfunctions, screams and shrieks. UFOs and ETs have been spotted on the grounds. Okay, live and direct. Okay, strange energy, temperature fluctuations. They think there's a portal in the area. There's tales of families of skunk apes, the Sasquatches down there, in the nearby area. People who go there who are sick claim to feel better and more at ease when they're there. Fairies and gnomes have been seen on site. They're heard chattering together pretty often. And a full-bodied apparition of Ed admiring his work of art, sitting there measuring and planning, has also been seen.
That's awesome.
That's a lot of stuff.
That is a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And it makes me wonder, like, are people, is it just people's imaginations running wild? Knowing me and knowing what I do, I believe it.
I will say too, Jessica, it's also just south, not too far, of St. Augustine. Now, St. Augustine, Florida is one of the most paranormal hotspots in the South, other than Savannah. Yeah. So you wonder if it is on. Yeah. So that's in Miami. And then St. Augustine, if you ride right up the coast, you will run right into it. So, it makes you wonder if there's a ley line there, or there's some sort of energy vortex that kind of runs up that coast of Florida.
Oh, well, that's funny you say that. I actually have a map of some of the ley lines. And it looks like there's a big convergence of some right there off the coast.
Yeah. And when I was doing my remote viewing, I immediately was hearing Bermuda Triangle. And so I knew the Bermuda Triangle was off the coast of Florida, but I didn't really know where the points were. And check that picture out. Yeah. That point goes right there. Like it's right there in that area.
Oh my gosh. And let me go back to show you everyone where this is. That's where the star is where the area where the Coral Castle is. And that looks to me like it hits that dot right there. I mean,
yeah, like that's not far from it. And 90% roughly of Florida's beaches are made out of quartz crystal. So I've even heard that there is a portal on the west coast of Florida near Sarasota that leads into inner Earth. So you wonder if Sarasota could just be a super hotspot for vortexes and portals and all of that exciting stuff.
I think there is. I think there could be. And we know from all of our friends down in Florida who do paranormal research, I'm having Marty Argentino on my show on Sunday at Spaced Out Radio. And she and her son, Matt Williamson, they're both go out and do skunk ape Sasquatch research down there and UFOs. And we've also got War Party Paranormal down in Miami and in that area. And I had Eric on the show last week. And they've all brought Coral Castle up. And so that's part of the reason I looked into it. Okay. Because there's so much high strangeness down there.
Exactly. And so I looked up limestone, oolite limestone, because I was kind of curious, what is that all about? Right. So it's basically fossils and shells. But I learned that limestone is the root of many crystals. So you've got agates, lapis, and septarian. Those are some other crystals that are actually stemmed off of limestone. So we all know how powerful crystals can be. Yeah. So you wonder if that limestone that he was working with had some metaphysical properties to it too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would think so. Everywhere we go Bigfooting, and when I'm doing my paranormal field research, I always pick up some quartz and put it in my pocket and bring it home. Okay. It's just a little hobby of mine, and I have a little souvenir for my kid. But yeah, I feel like there's something called the stone tape theory. Okay. And a lot of times those stones will hold the energies of past events that happen at places like that. So you got to be careful bringing stones home.
And quartz crystal holds information, right? So there's quartz crystals in most of our technology, our smartphones, our computers, because it holds information. So if the beaches are made out of quartz crystal, imagine the energy and the information that it's holding too.
Oh my gosh, that's right. Yeah. Well, I thought it was really interesting that the only kind of comment that Ed would make about how he created these gigantic monoliths and stood them up and placed them in different areas. He said, well, it was ancient Egyptian technology. And if he could do it, you could do it. Now, I got to, getting into my remote viewing data, I saw that there was, it was clearly he was a very clever man. Okay. This man was very clever. And I'm saying that because when he first came to America, okay, he he was working with logging businesses and he was learning how to move gigantic stumps out of areas like this and loading them up on vehicles and getting them out. So he was learning how to loft gigantic, very heavy objects. Okay. So he had the knowledge on how to do this. Now, could he do it by himself? This guy was 5 feet tall and 100 pounds. Okay. So it just doesn't make a lot of sense, right? When you think about it. So that's where we step in with our remote viewing data.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I see in the comments, Matt M asked, has anyone ever been to any other anomalous locations in Montana? And I was actually thinking of that. This site reminds me of the Montana Vortex, which is just outside of Glacier National Park. There's also the Montana megaliths, which are in Helena. And I think when you look at that map, one of those ley lines kind of connects the two between Florida and Montana. So you wonder, where this energy is, with these sacred sites and this energy is located.
Yeah. Well, they say that the Egyptians and a lot of ancient cultures used to, or they would build their communities and important structures. I mean, we even have the obelisk all over the United States and our Capitol buildings. They're all on, some of them could be on ley lines, they place them in particular places like the ancients did.
Is there an obelisk at the castle?
No, not at the castle. I was saying the capitals around.
I know,
but
I was curious at the castle if there was an obelisk in there. I can't remember.
I don't know. I don't know. There were a lot of monoliths, but I did not see a particular obelisk. Now I did. We were talking before the show started tonight, and you mentioned that Ed had some secret knowledge.
Yeah.
He was an occultist. What do you know about that?
He was also a Masonic, a Freemason. So Freemasons work with stones, right? So in the Freemasonry, but they also have occult information that has been passed down, to them as well. So he had the ability to utilize, his carving techniques as well as his kind of magic techniques, I guess, as you would, call them. So he definitely had some ancient knowledge for sure. And that came up in my remote viewing data. I was getting Egypt.
Me too.
I was getting pyramid, the ancient pyramids, and that type of technology was coming up for sure. Absolutely.
I did too. And now the Egyptians had secret knowledge as well, and there are lineages that pass the stuff down. So I got to be honest, my data was pretty straightforward. Like he was using turbines, and primitive tools, and it was stuff that he had made that was kind of simple. It was kind of a lot more simple than you'd think. Is how he was able to cut the stone and how he was able to move it. Now you were coming up with magnets, and I didn't come up with magnets, but I was coming up with like the turbines and all the inner workings of some kind of machinery that he was using.
Absolutely. And, I started to look into minery and mines and how they would utilize these giant steel drums with these small little, metal balls in them. And that's how it would rotate and it would crush the ore. Well, there's a guy back in the early 1800s. His name was John Keeley. And John Keeley was actually utilizing sound frequencies to do the same thing. So you wonder if at the castle, Ed was utilizing these same types of ancient technologies or ancient wisdom to do the same thing. It's like we're doing mining, but we can do it a whole lot easier if we're utilizing sound.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Because that was in my data. Okay. Right off the bat, I was getting that he was using, there were a lot of frequencies and vibrational stuff involved, and it was like high frequencies. It was some sort of sound technology. He was actually using that now, but I picked up a very heavy presence of just him using mechanical stuff. Like I actually looked it up right before the show tonight, and I was picking up on a turbine. Okay, I don't know what a turbine is hardly. Okay, I'm a girl. Okay, so not that I don't know, what's what, but I was curious, so I kind of was looking it up, and there's this thing called the flywheel. Okay, we're going to pull this up. This is actually at Coral Castle, and it's on display, and you can see this. Tanya, did you see this? They tell you what it was?
I did, and I don't remember, but I remember they said that it would spin and it would create some sort of current or something. From what like I said, it was 20 years ago when I was there, but I vaguely remember that. Absolutely. I need to go back and visit again.
Yeah. Well, this was part of what he was using for his whole process. I mean, and you were picking up on copper wiring and things like that. And even, what, you were talking about a battery. And now, the ancient Egyptians had a battery. This ankh right here, and I pulled this up, they call it the U magnet.
Yep.
Okay. And so I believe that what he was using and utilizing was similar. I think that he wasn't probably using the ankh type of battery. I think he probably was using an old car battery, okay, or something.
Yeah, because they said that he was using something from an old Ford, that there's a door there that is a huge piece of stone, and you can just push it very lightly, and it was spinning. And he used some really old pieces from, back in the day. Well, I guess, maybe all the hurricanes that hit it kind of broke it down, and they tried to rebuild it again back in I think the 60s or the 70s, and it didn't last very long. So however he built it, it ended up staying for a while. And I was getting magnets in that area. So I think he was utilizing magnets to create that huge rock door that was able to spin by just touching it with your finger.
Wow. Yeah. There is an explanation to a lot of this stuff that's pretty simple. And people who are masons, who work it with stone and granite and all that kind of stuff, there are a lot of people who are builders. You can be very clever. I've watched one man all by himself build a gigantic deck on the back of a house, that was 9 feet up in the air. So all this can be done. Okay, but these are huge. Now I'm going to show some pictures of these rocks. Okay, these are not your typical little rock formations here. These are huge. Okay, very heavy. Now, Tanya, was there a place where he stayed, or did he live in that little castle part right there?
I think he did for a certain amount of time, but he had created an area for him and this woman. He loved this woman, and he wanted to create a space for him and her and then their future children. But she ended up leaving him, she ended up breaking up with him, and then he moved from Europe and then came over to the States. And then that's when he built this particular castle. But it was all for love, from what I remember.
Oh, well, it's very interesting, but it's not very comfortable looking.
No.
I'm just saying. I don't know. It doesn't look.
Did you read that it was moved like 10 miles?
No.
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
Yeah. So, after I remote viewed it, how we do that remote view, and then we go in and try to put the pieces together.
Oh, yeah.
And I read that it was moved because they were building an interstate through that area, and the state of Florida bought that land, and then he ended up moving each and every one of those stones to 10 miles north. So it was actually a little bit further south of Homestead originally.
Oh, wow. Ooh. So they moved all those things. My goodness.
I know.
Yeah.
And he would do it at night. So this is what was kind of weird. He would have workers there helping him, but then they would say, well, how are we going to get the rocks from A to B? And he'd say, don't you worry about it. And he would do it at nighttime. So that was where it would get a little, shady, because you're kind of like, well, how is he getting these huge rocks onto these flatbeds of these trucks, to be able to move them from one location to the other? So that's where people started to question, what was he doing? Was he using sound? Was he using machinery? What was happening?
We got it. We can always go back to this. He had knowledge of moving big tree stumps onto vehicles.
That's right.
And getting them out of areas like that. So he had the knowledge when it came to the technical aspect of it. But doing it by himself, it's still kind of very mysterious, in my opinion. And so it makes sense that he would take the practical, using the machinery, the turbine that I came up with, that flywheel and all of the copper and the batteries and all that stuff. He's got it going at night. And I can understand working at night. It's hot in Florida. Okay.
Oh,
And I wouldn't want to work during the daytime in South Florida out there working with rocks, So I
yeah.
understand that.
And when you talk about all those elements, so you've got Florida, you have quartz beaches, okay, which is the crystal. You have the limestone there, which has obvious crystal aspects to it. You've got the ocean, which has the salt and the minerals in it. And then there was the copper there that he was bringing in. So what does that sound like? That sounds like orgonite. That sounds like an orgone, which is a battery source. So he could have been utilizing those, that ancient wisdom and knowledge to be able to create some sort of orgone energy there as well that would help levitate, those rocks like they used to back in ancient Egypt.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, I was absolutely picking up on some sort of, I want to say supernatural kind of, but it was more of just utilizing things that have been used since the beginning of time, which I was picking up on chanting. Okay. Chanting, humming, vocalizations. He was utilizing sound frequency to assist in whatever this was he was doing.
Absolutely. So when you chant to a certain tune or a sound frequency, it creates a resonance. It's called resonant tuning. So the ancient Egyptians used to utilize the ankh to do this. And what they would do is they would use the tool like a tuning fork, and they would calibrate themselves to this tuning fork. And this is how John Keeley did this as well. He would find these instruments and he would calibrate his own body, his own energy system to these tuning forks or to these ankhs. And then he was able to levitate objects. He was able to crush huge stones into dust just by using sound alone. He would also drive very precise holes in rocks just by using sound alone. But what he recognized is when he would hand these tools off to someone else, they wouldn't work. And it's because they weren't calibrated with that person's energy. So the moment they would calibrate, then they could do it too. So the ancient Egyptians knew this, and they would utilize this energy to be able to move objects. But that's why you see all the ancient pharaohs and all the kings, and they all had an ankh. They had some sort of ankh, with them.
And okay, that is wild because and you and I haven't really talked too much about this since before the show started. Okay, Tanya, on the first page of my data, which by the way, if people would like to see my data, it is on my Patreon. So you guys hop over to my Patreon and become a member and join our family over there. And you can look at the papers as we're talking. Okay. But I wrote tuning forks. Okay. He was using tuning
I had
forks.
ankh written down.
Yeah. So it's so cool that we had a lot of the same information, Tanya. It really backs up what we're doing here. And excuse me, everybody, Elaine E., thank you so much for that super chat. That is so sweet of you. We do appreciate that. We appreciate the support. And yeah, we do work hard on these shows. Okay. We do work hard. So on our information. So thank you.
It's fun.
And they're fun. We work hard because we love it, because this is so fun. Okay. But yeah, I absolutely picked up right off the bat tuning forks. Okay. And now you know more about that than I do because you do the sound healing.
I do. I do.
You actually got a sound healing bowl. Okay.
I do. I just got a little bowl today.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tuning forks. Now obelisks act as tuning forks as well. So that's why you see obelisks near pyramids, because they will literally act as tuning forks because they can resonate and they can, set a certain frequency and a certain tone. So, there was someone back in, I think it was the 30s or 40s, named Rife. His last name was Rife, and he would create Rife frequencies. And Rife frequencies, if you tune them into specific areas, they can actually heal the body. And I did a podcast on this specifically about the healing benefits of sound. So sound isn't, you can heal with it. You can create tools with it. You can use it as equipment, technology. You can even use it as a weapon. And that's what we've talked about with harp, in the past. And, you can tell when they're using sound frequencies because you'll notice it in the clouds. You'll see kind of ripples in the clouds. And that's when they're using the weather modification. So there's so many things that we can do with sound, and even tuning forks. You can use them to heal the body. So you can take certain frequencies, solfeggio frequencies, which are based off of, very old time music scales, and you can utilize them. And what it does, because our body is roughly anywhere between 60 to 80%, depending on how old you are, of water. And when you use the sound frequency, it will actually reset your energetic system. So Dr. Emoto used this work where he would send certain sound frequencies into water molecules. And when you would say positive things to the water, you would see beautiful crystals that look like snowflakes. But when you would say negative things to the water, it would actually create, muddy, grungy water. And this is where the somatics comes in. So I don't know if you've seen it, where they take talcum powder or some sort of powder on a metal plate, and then they play music, and it creates sacred geometry. And you actually had sacred geometry come up in your data.
I did. And so that's why I actually was pulling up some pictures. These are actually designs that were created when someone played a violin. Okay. So it's just the sound of the music make the different notes make different geometrical shapes. Okay. And so that's with any kind of vibrational frequency there, but it's the music, and that's why it's so important for everybody to be kind to yourself and talk gently to yourself and be positive, because we are made of water. Okay. And we remember that, and our body reacts to those emotions and that vibration. And if you're, I did an experiment when I was learning dowsing. Okay. And I partnered up with someone, and we would think positive thoughts towards each other, and the dowsing rods would move one direction. And then when you think negative thoughts, it was like, like it made a complete difference in our energy fields when we were having negativity thrown at us. So just, it's just something to think about. Our words have an effect on us, and the sounds and our energy around other people. Yeah,
it does. And not only that, water molecules hold information as well. So you wonder, being there in the ocean, with Florida kind of being a little bit of a peninsula there, being near the ocean, how much information is being held. Now, Jessica, I did get Atlantis as well. I had, when I had Bermuda Triangle, I also picked up on Atlantis. So he could have been an Atlantean, reincarnated into this life and had this knowledge and had this wisdom. And so the Atlanteans were really good at utilizing this technology, because they also came from ancient Egypt as well. So, it's obvious information that's been handed down generation to generation, and he was tapping in to some of this energy. And Atlantis, I know there's a lot of different speculations on where Atlantis is located, but a lot of people think it's down there near the Bahamas, and in that area, which is just south of the location where he had built this castle.
It is. Well, I did a little research on ancient Egyptians using sound waves in building the pyramids. Okay. And a couple of years ago, there was a study put out it was published about the ancient origins of Egyptians benefiting from the sound in the construction of the Great Pyramid of Giza. They relied on the discovery of a dead end in the rock inside the pyramid room as a tube of acoustic resonance that generates ultrasonic waves at a base frequency of 5 hertz, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah, 5 hertz. This raises the question of the importance of ultrasound for the ancients. And, if they use them there, where else have they been used? They weren't the only ones using it, I'm sure.
Yeah, you're right. And I think I was watching a show once where there was a guy inside one of the pyramids, and they were using different sound frequencies. And they would say that the Egyptians, they thought what were sarcophagi were actually healing chambers, where people would get into them, and then they would use certain frequencies, and they would utilize the ankh as well. And they would hum and chant. They would use certain, because they were tuning their body to the instrument, which was then kind of circulating around the inside of the pyramid and into the healing chamber, which would heal the people and the animals. So it's fascinating, that information that we have from ancient Egypt and how we aren't even really utilizing it to this day.
Yeah, I feel like we're letting everyone in on a little bit of secret ancient knowledge tonight, Tanya. I don't know. We're unlocking some mysteries of the world tonight on remote viewing investigations.
We're pulling out our inner Shakti and Shiva goddess.
Exactly. Yes, the Isis, the goddess, divine feminine and full effect, tonight. So yeah, I think it's interesting. It's really interesting because I've never had so many females on my show in one weekend. I have all female guests this weekend at Space Out Radio and tonight with you here. And I don't have the Texas Front Porch guys here tonight. So it is all female weekend. So I'm loving it. So yes, it's gonna be a great weekend, y'all. But yeah, this is it's pretty mind-blowing actually. And in a lot of ways, I think that the ancient cultures were way more advanced than we are today. Okay. In a lot of things. I would think so. And if he gets a chance tonight, Barry Littleton was going to try to hop in and we were going to talk about some of the things that he had sent me about sound frequency, because I was picking up actually on humming, whining, and guttural chants and guttural sounds that he was doing. Now, I was watching a video one day, okay, and it was, I'm into Bigfoot, okay, and I know you are too, Tanya. Yeah. But there was a video of a gentleman out in the woods who was making this guttural chant kind of sound, and there were a couple of Sasquatches, or at least one that kind of walked up behind him, and a deer and everything. It was pretty crazy. But some people were saying, well, that's like how you open portals. Okay. Perhaps that's how the ancients opened portals and stuff. It's some kind of secret knowledge there. So it sounded, okay. When I got all this information, I was looking at it at my data. I went back and I started thinking, I remember that video of that guy who, I didn't really like listening to it. I actually muted it because I thought, I feel like I might have a portal open in my house. Yeah, I don't want a portal to open up in my office, and have a Sasquatch pop out, but we got to be careful because things can come through our electronics. Okay?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So it doesn't matter where it is. It can affect you remotely, if you're hearing it.
Doing those chants is that light language because, you go to Polynesia or Hawaii and they'll chant, they do certain things. And so, you wonder if that is they're doing resonant tuning with their voice and, our voice amplifies and we're made of cones, our whole body, our pineal gland is attached to our eyes and, there's cones in our eyes and cones are very intentional, when you focus a cone on something. So who knows what they're chanting and what they're manifesting, but it could potentially just be ancient cosmic language.
Yeah. I think so. I think you could be right, Tanya, but, I don't know. There's something to it because he was utilizing that when he was moving these stones. Okay. Along with the magnets and the pulley systems and the flywheel, his turbines. But I did get some of the very last things, the bits of information I got magical. It was very magical. So there was some magic involved. I had no idea he was involved with the occult. When I did this target, I had no idea. But the very last thing I heard with my ears, clairaudience, remember. Okay. Ooh. Remember. And I was like, oh God, I am obviously reincarnated and this is from a past life.
We're probably activating our gift right now.
We are. I think I was there. I was there when the pyramids were built, obviously. So I'm just kidding. I don't know. I was like, well, what am I supposed to remember? Okay, I need another download. All right.
Well, so a lot of it is we're remembering how powerful sound is, how powerful sound and light are, and understanding that we can utilize the power of sound to do things, to move objects. There was one guy named David Deek, D-E-A-K, and he would actually put an object between two different sound waves and he was able to levitate things. So golf, small things like ping pong balls, maybe styrofoam cups, but you wonder if you had a larger capacity to enhance the sound, how big something could move if you can actually levitate small things just by using sound frequencies.
Oh my gosh, levitation. Okay, yeah. I did not like actually write down like levitation in my data, but I
No, I
was
didn't
picking
either.
up on that. I was picking up. I mean, the sketch that I drew, it actually looks like stones kind of floating in the air, over like a big monolith. It, and then I found this picture, so I'll pull this up, and this is, I was looking up how the pyramids could have been made, and they were talking about sound technology and stuff. And this is an old picture that someone drew of perhaps how the pyramids were built.
That's
Now,
awesome.
whether I'm not sure what this means, but okay. But it does have to do with levitation technology right there. So it looks like UFOs, actually.
It really kind of does. And I mean,
Yeah.
the monks have been known to levitate. I mean, it's just a lot of it's our belief system too. Do we believe that we can do it? And if if Ed knew that he could do this, then it just makes it a whole lot easier. But, so who knows what was going on? But I definitely was sensing he was using sound, to do something.
Yeah, you mentioned resonant toning, and that's
Mhm.
something that we do when we're learning remote viewing and we're practicing with the Monroe Gateway experience. Okay,
Mhm.
The resonant toning, that's important to do when you're getting into remote viewing, what we're doing. So it's kind of all connected.
It is,
Uh,
Jessica, and I did a YouTube video on how to activate the pineal gland, which the
mhm.
pineal gland is made of crystals, magnetite. And so many of ours were calcified from fluoride, chemicals in the air, the processed foods we eat. But I actually did a video on how to activate the pineal through sound and through vibration of the mouth. And so just doing certain movements and, just, things with the mouth, it will vibrate your pineal gland, which will then activate it and decalcify it. So, if we can do that with our body is an instrument. Imagine what you can do outside of that if you're pulling in other things to even amplify it and make it even more powerful.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I was looking up levitation. Okay. And sound is movement, ancient levitation technology. And this article that I pulled up, it says it's believed that reverberance or sonic levitation was utilized to build places of worship and burial spaces, such as the pyramids. Okay. Yeah, let's see. There was this one guy that wrote something. I can't pronounce his name. He was an Egyptian guy. Okay, he wrote about a magic papyrus believed to be placed under a stone that, when struck with a metal rod, would create a vibrational moving path. Okay, I started resonating with that when I was reading this article. I was like, I wonder if that's what Ed was doing. Okay, hitting like a tuning fork and making something move. I mean,
Yeah, and utilizing the power of the ley lines. And so,
yeah.
they call it Florida Stonehenge. So, if you look at the sacred sites around the world, Monte Picchu, the Montana megalith, Stonehenge, all these locations, Shasta, and all the paranormal activity around them, there's obvious portal activity, in these areas. And you wonder if it's just because it's a different frequency, it's a different vibration. And how come some people can see the paranormal activity when others can't? Is it because they're kind of fine-tuned into that frequency where they can actually see it, where others don't? You just question that. You could be standing next to someone and you see an apparition and then they don't see it, and you're like, oh, have you ever had that happen before?
Yeah, I have. I got distracted a little bit because I saw this comment from Maca 89.
Oh, yes.
Okay, the didgeridoo levitation. Okay, now I with my team out in the woods, we go to we go out and do field research with the Sasquatch and everything. And the head of my team has a didgeridoo or two or three. Okay, and I find that when we're out in the field, I mean, occasionally he'll take that out there and use it, and it just changes the whole vibration, the whole energy of the place we are, and it starts attracting things in. It's the vibe. Okay. It's definitely the vibe. And I could see it could, the didgeridoo levitation. That's very interesting. That's the thing. Okay.
It is. And I agree with that. I saw someone mention Garrett Duncan. I've actually been to a few Sasquatch retreats with Garrett. And at those retreats, we would use sound bowls and tuning forks and the didgeridoo, all these things. And we were having massive Sasquatch activity. I mean, it was insane how much we were having, and orbs and, just a lot of activity. So I do think that vibration and frequency plays a role in that, in how we can raise our frequency to be at the frequency that these beings are at.
Yeah. Everybody, my friend Jesus is in the chat tonight. Jesus Payan, what's up? Yeah, he is actually also a Bigfoot field researcher as well. Yeah, and an actor. You guys might recognize him. So, okay. Jesus, thank you for being here tonight. But yeah, it's this is very interesting a conversation that we're having tonight, because it's all about that energy, the frequency, and the vibration, and that's just what the whole world's made of. Okay, and so that little 5-foot Ed with 100 pounds on him, he was moving several tons, a bunch of tons at a time, to create this castle down there. So I don't know. Now, I did have some information about monks too, because the Egyptians are not the only ones that were said to use this levitation technology. There are modern accounts of Tibetan monks. This is modern accounts using their deep chants and sacred instruments to move boulders, and seem to confirm the belief that power of sound amplified by a large number of people could create vibration powerful enough to levitate large and heavy objects. So that's a group effort. Okay, that's a lot of people chanting, a lot of energy going there. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, he was just one man. So,
well, we think it was one man. What if he had more people there? We don't know, I mean, we aren't sure what was going on at night behind the scenes. And, that's when we do things in groups, it amplifies our intention. So, the concept of the Maharishi effect. And I witnessed this when I lived in Florida. It's when you get they studied it, and they got a group of people together in a town that had a high crime rate. And then they started doing mantras and chanting and praying and meditating in these areas. And they noticed the crime rate significantly went down. And I witnessed this in Florida. It was probably 5 or 6 years ago. It was when a massive hurricane was coming, and it was headed towards Miami. And I witnessed all these people go out onto the beach, and they all started praying and singing and, making sound. And the hurricane moved to the other side of the coast. And then everybody went to that coast and did the same thing. And then it moved back. It literally went back and forth like 5 times. And I was in Orlando at the time trying to figure out, should I go south or should my sister come to me? And at the time, I didn't recognize what it was until I learned about the Maharishi effect. And I'm like, that's exactly what was happening. There was so much emotion behind moving, that the hurricane, that it was actually working, and people were doing it with their own energy and their own intention alone. And it was fascinating to see it happen.
Wow. I mean, that's what they say about the power of prayer, right? And what I'm thinking about are how they say that right now we've got the 144,000 light workers, all over the world. I think there may be more than that, but but yeah, they're strategically placed in different parts of the planet to anchor that light, right? And because of the energy that they give off. And I mean, I'm not an expert on it, but yeah,
me neither. But I do know I'm a grid worker, and I've done a podcast on this, the different types of light workers, and and I'm a grid worker. So I hold a frequency, and I am guided to certain locations. And I do feel that when we are out, searching for Sasquatch or extraterrestrials or whatever we're doing in the paranormal community, we're having fun doing it oftentimes. And what does that do? When we're having fun, it raises our frequency. Mm-hmm. So that could be why we are experiencing, these things. And oftentimes when people experience a Sasquatch encounter or some sort of a paranormal encounter, they're out doing something they enjoy. They could be camping or fishing or doing something that is raising their vibration and their frequency. So you question, is that when you're raising your vibration, are you pulling yourself out of the third dimension into the fourth dimension where a lot of these beings are, and that's in the astral, so I often wonder, can we can facilitate this and bring in more activity. We just have to think about it in different ways, and sound, I think, is a powerful way to do it.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I think we're tuned into something here, Tanya. So
Literally.
just think of, we are limitless beings. Okay. Humans are, we have no idea of our potential. Okay. And so it's all about learning and remembering. That was the last thing that I wrote down in my data. And you guys, I have a very special guest here to join us tonight. In addition to Tanya, we have our friend, Mr. Barry Littleton, here tonight. Hey, Barry.
Oh, greetings. Hello.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Hey,
how you doing?
You.
Hello, Tanya. Hello,
Hi,
Jessica.
Barry.
Hey, thank you for being here tonight, Barry. I'm so glad you hopped in.
Well, thank you for inviting me. First of all, sorry for coming in so late. I've had all these things jump in, but I've been listening all night long. So I just got to my counsel.
Awesome.
But a couple things I wanted to hit on, especially, is that, I've dealt with my entire life a lot of past life memories and trying to actually put them to where they should be historically when our school system shows us no such thing. But something that you've mentioned several times that correlates with my past life memories, and something that I found as a frame of reference, is a book called Initiation by Elizabeth Hayes. And there's a specific chapter in there that is called Bogar and the Staff of Life.
Ooh.
Check that out. And check out what they described this anka that was used by the pharaoh, that was actually the visor, that was a type of anka that it vibrated to where if no one was not initiate, touched it, would be disintegrated by it. And this is dealing with a type of actual prana, kundalini, that is so clean, and life energy, the same type that we see on board some of these craft. When I talk about the living light that I've seen coming off some of these engines or brains, whatever they are, this is the same type of technology. And when you say that, this is definitely, and my past life memories say a lot about acoustic resonance and acoustic levitation.
Yeah.
And that there being I'm not good with math, all right, but something that comes through to me always as childhood is a type of mathematical formula that comes with it that is similar to why a sugar cube actually floats in water. So that mathematically, that joined with the levitation acoustic technology, it does something. And that's how a lot of these pyramids and other things were constructed, partially anyway. So I'll shut up now, because you ladies have been so thorough about this, and information has been so excellent. Tanya, you really have explained it well, scientifically, and I want to say thank you to both of you. So I'm gonna shut up. I just want to.
We lived in Egypt, so of course we should be able to.
Yeah, I do have ties somewhere down the line to Egypt. I know I do. I don't, but yeah, it just it's flowing very naturally tonight. Let's just put it that way. So yeah, wow. Hey, thank you so much for that super sticker, Maka. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's there's something, there's definitely a familiarity to all of this. And I know that sounds really weird to people, but yeah, I do feel it. And Barry, you and I had discussed earlier today about the Moray Peru, with the sound frequencies and things like that. It opens portals, right? Or is what they say. What can you say about this place?
I tried to find the link to send to you, but I couldn't find it before I had to leave. Linda Moulton Howe in Earth Files did an interview with somebody that was a whistleblower that talked about a certain frequency that you can do vocally. This is tonal, so you can do near that door that will open it up and send you through dimensions. Yeah. And they occur through within. And I've had experiences myself, what I call adult onset experiences, which is where I was trying to make contact and do things, because it always happened. But when I tried to make it happen, it wouldn't. It's like when they want it to happen, But part of that was doing certain types of pranayama and things to still my inner dialogue so that I could try to become multidimensional like that in a way. And frequency, I think, is a great way. You were talking about chanting and different things earlier. I think that's really serious primal with that. And kind of wrapping this up, my older brother, he is a musician and he's had contact. It's not like mine, but he's had contact. And for him, it has occurred in a way that is musically attuned and tones. And certain beings he's seen that appear to be melanin dominant, but they have this red, blonde type of hair, like the brothers from Panama or something. And but the musicians, he's interacted with them several times. It's a whole nother thing going on, but it's tonal. And his whole part of contact has been through musical tones. That's where mine is not. So if that means anything, I'll just shut up because I want to hear more what you two have to say.
No, it does. It does, Barry. I'm immediately getting, as humanity, our throat chakra has been shut off. It's been closed. And when I'm working with clients, oftentimes when they want to be activated in light language, I have them hum and sing and do things to activate the throat. So you wonder if we were kind of cut off as humanity for a reason, because we know the power of our tone and our sound. And so that's a very interesting topic, because our throats, we've been taught. I mean, even my mom said, she goes, I was taught to listen and only speak if when spoken to, right? So many of us have a blocked off throat chakra. And that is if that's as powerful as it is, if we can chant and levitate and move objects, then that's, maybe that's where they, back in the day, that's where they kind of said, all right, we're going to cut off humanity here a little bit. I don't know.
Oh, that's where the generational curses came in, where kids are told to shut up and abuse
would get hung,
going on,
right? The witch trials, like your throat.
Yes.
Yeah.
So someone want to say, a lot of people have asked me I do a lot of earthbound spirit crossing over and protections after that. And a major protection is us saying verbally, get away from me. You're not welcome in my energy space, actually saying it, not just thinking it, but saying it. We put that into the tone and vocalize it within these third dimensional bodies. It does something. It's something about the divine law. There is divine law, and the divine field, we can say. But anyway, it does something. So when you say that, thank you, because it means something. And people with these protections say it. It's a part of way of actually doing your intent of will. That's important.
Yeah,
it is. And being able to command that, we have the power to command that. And I know when I do my resonant tuning, I will listen to, like, say 144 hertz on my headphones, and then I'll hum to it or kind of make a noise to it, and I will feel my heart vibrate. So you can really feel it in your whole body. And that was part of the Monroe Institute's kind of training, for the remote viewing.
You were there? You went there?
I didn't go there, but I did the training, and Jessica did too, because it's part of the remote viewing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, you guys, you know what? It's actually time to wrap up the first half now. Would you guys like to go take a break and come back, or should we? I'm so tongue tied right now. Would y'all like to wrap it up tonight? I mean, I'm having a really good time talking about this stuff. So
I was to say this: you ladies knock it out of the ballpark, especially with this one. And I'm kind of you're way out of my league on this one. So I'm just kind of hanging out, and there's a few things I can say, and I kind of just did it. So I'm just listening, and I'm learning with the rest of everybody else. So.
Okay. Well, what do you think, Tanya? Should we wrap it up tonight, or?
Yeah, I'm thinking so. I think, let's end it on a good note. And, I think we gave a lot of information tonight, and a lot of, things for people to think about, and check out sound frequencies, and, do a little bit of research on it, because there's a lot of information out there about it.
Yes. Well, oh my gosh. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. And Tanya and Barry, you guys are the best. I just love having y'all on. And this was very interesting. And everybody, just please know that we can all tap into this potential. We all have it within us. And it's just a matter of remembering. Okay. And just tuning in. Okay. And yeah, thank y'all so much for being here tonight. And old Ed, I think that he was just a very clever man, and had a little magic inside of him. Okay. Yep. So yeah, if you're down in Florida, you guys go visit the Coral Castle. Okay.
Oh, Coral. Oh,
Coral. Yeah, I know.
And Gary, I watched your video on that today. The Coral. Yeah. That was
yes.
Oh, thank you.
I'm saying we could go over to the next hour, but you know.
You want to talk about that, Barry?
Do you want to talk about it? Because I got to cut right now.
Let's do it. Let's get another 15, 20 minutes.
Okay, we're gonna go to the other side. You guys give us 5 minutes and we'll be right back. Okay, we will be back in just a sec. All right, don't leave us, everybody. All right.
4 minutes to go, folks. 4 minutes. Three minutes. We're almost there. Two-minute warning, guys. 2-minute warning. One minute. 1 minute.
Well, hey, y'all. Thank y'all for sticking around tonight. We decided to take a break and come back at the very last minute, okay? Because I have Barry Littleton here now with us. And so I'm going to bring Tanya back up. And Barry will be back in just a second, I believe. He must be still be on the break for a sec. But hey, Tanya, there's Barry. Okay, let's pull Barry up. Because Barry had a great point today. You know, he had made a video about coral and was making connections to the coral reefs and ETs. Okay, and so we got to talk about this tonight before we go. And and if you guys haven't already subscribed to Tanya's and Barry's YouTube channels, Tanya is the Existential Empath on YouTube, and Barry is Barry Littleton on YouTube. Okay, so please go subscribe to their channels if you hadn't already. Okay, well, Barry, let's talk about this coral, because we're talking about Coral Castle tonight down in Florida.
And limestone and calcium carbonate. Talk about all that stuff.
This is very interesting, because sometimes I think that our experiences might not be the separate things that we think they are. And what particularly caught my attention about this, excuse me, is a being that I had dealt with in my youth a lot, and also in what I call adult onset experiences, which occurred about 17 to around 24, actually, but well, more 17 to 20, really. But one of these beings was one of the few that gave me a name, and it was Mana, M-A-A-N-A. Mm-hmm. And when I first came forward and presented illustrations of this being done by Christine Dennett, Casara, I got an overwhelming amount of responses. And it was interesting. And what about this being is that Mana was about, I say a little over 7 feet tall, with a head that was very large, eyes that were very circular, but the head itself looked like a brain reverse on the outside. But it, like some of the ship, looked to have a hard consistency. Okay. And when I look here on Earth, the only thing I've seen that looks similar to that is brain coral. But I didn't quite make the correlation yet. Okay.
The correlation? Just kidding.
What?
Oh my gosh.
The coral. I'm sorry. I've got jokes. The correlation. Okay.
That one went move.
I know. It took a second. I know.
That was a dad joke, Jessica.
It was a dad. It was a mom. I'm a mom joke.
A mom joke.
I can't help it. Sorry, y'all.
That's all good.
Yeah, just to clarify, limestone is not coral. Someone just said that. I meant limestone is fossils and shells.
And this will be even more connected to brain coral. And, I became curious why some of these beings were so much in my youth, and they step forward, then they step back, and others come forward. Why? And more than that, what was this being's connection, not just to myself, but to the Earth matrix? Why is it messing around here at all, dealing with these things and all this stuff? Yeah. What comes up after that is I wound up waking up thinking about, coral bleaching. And I don't even know what that is. I didn't at the time. I had to look it up, start researching it. And that's actually how the Great Barrier Reef is dying.
Yeah.
And it's on account of what they're saying is suntan lotion and also global warming.
Suntan lotion, really?
I hear that. I read that in the Hawaiian reports that they were blaming it on suntan lotion a lot. Whatever, I don't make the rules. I just observe them. You know what I mean, Tony?
So if it's doing that to the coral, what's it doing to our body, right?
True that. Yeah. And that's coming from a melanin perspective of what the sun does with us through vitamin D also. Absolutely. It's interesting, But anyway, this came through this coral bleaching. I didn't know what it was. I had to research it, all right? And when I was actually in my trip in Australia 3 years ago, I learned even more. Every time I woke up in the hospital, there was something about coral bleaching on there, all right? But that is actually how the Great Barrier Reef is dying. and most of the coral on Earth is dying due to this bleaching effect. And if the coral all dies, we're in serious trouble.
Yeah.
In the sea, we're in serious trouble on this planet. So that takes me into this, to what is called supercoral, which is a type of coral that is resistant to the bleaching effect that they're actually bioengineering right now and trying to repopulate a lot of the reefs with this. Okay, so when I deal with a being like Mana, and when this is coming through, so is this a being that is from our past, when coral was more sentient than it is now and it went galactic, or is it a part of this super coral that is in the future that becomes sentient and goes galactic? It's already sentient, but I mean to a different level. There's something going on here. And it's interesting, you know, and so when I deal with that type of the experience, the contact experience, I think needs to be acknowledged just as much as the reptilians and the grays and all that stuff, you know. Anyway, but correlating this to what you have said about
correlating.
I can't remember the word anymore.
God, no pun intended.
Unintentional humor here.
But you know, when I saw you post that, and I've been aware of this place you've talked about before, and I was always more interested in how he constructed it, possibly through acoustic vibrations and delay lines. But to hear you say that it was made of coral, just after I was getting this urge to send you that video out of nowhere, and sometimes I feel weird inundating you with videos, Jessica.
Oh no, please keep them coming. I love those videos, Barry.
And I was watching them.
Yes, Barry. Barry has a video for everything, everyone, and it
was like 3 years ago. I'm like, Barry was on this 3 years ago.
They are so good.
Thank you. The music on that one, I think, was the coolest of all the videos.
You have the best music.
But anyway, well, thank you. But when you said it was coral, and to actually see that, and actually to think about and try to, you know, once again, it's the different areas that are correlated. Like, is it possible that this individual had knowledge from these beings too, or is it connected somehow, or just it's another thing? But it's very interesting because I think that part of the context scenario and the different beings that we all experience are not. It's not in the media. It's not driven media driven at all, and it's really important right now because this place is in trouble.
And is there a coincidence that NASA is just north of the Coral Castle in Melbourne? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's no coincidences.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest. I didn't know this place was in Melbourne. That's where it is?
Yeah, well, it's south of Melbourne, it's between Miami and Cocoa Beach area. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
In America. Okay, gotcha.
Or it's actually south of Miami. Yeah, a little bit south.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Right. I was right on that. I mean, I've been down to that area. Boy, that humidity, Lord, how can anybody get to that? How can anybody get to this?
I lived in Florida for 20 years, and Miami, Orlando's hot, but Miami is, it is hot.
I never been there, but I went to Orlando, and I swear to you, I was dehydrated before I got out of the Uber. And Ray Hernandez run up to me going, Barry. I never met him before. And I was chewing out the Uber guy. I was all dehydrated. That's like, God, that's not the way I wanted to meet Ray Hernandez. Anyway. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's humid in my office right now. So I had to go put some powder on my face during that break. Yeah, it never fails without those lights too. But yeah,
something we'll just throw in out there. Why not? We're on after hours or whatever. So
yeah,
you ladies did another wonderful show about the Black Pyramid in Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
And on my channel, I had done a couple of videos, and one of them went over to Patreon, but they should be on YouTube. Vanta Black. Vanta Black is a type of a substance that absorbs light, melanin dominant, that it can be used to actually kind of coat ships and other things like that. And what they think is the material that's coating the Black Knight. The satellite. Yeah. Surprised neither of you remote viewed that one yet. I'm interested to see what come up with that.
I've got next Friday open.
We have a list of things. I keep sending stuff to Jessica.
Yeah, that's what's cool. You guys will have less like that.
Oh yeah. Hey, I mean, I've got every Friday open from here on out for these shows. So yeah, keep them coming, everybody. I love the suggestions, actually. Yeah.
The material that you both subscribe, you described coating the pyramid is very much like that Vanta Black. And
Obsidian.
Vanta Black is a new material that's being used now, that like a metamaterial. But I think it's the same thing when I have past life memories. We just talked about that, of these black pyramids that are being constructed by my own students and other people that were doing these evil, negative stuff. And what happened is that technology being driven by not just, by the prana, by the orgone, by the will, when you started getting people who were initiated into these temples, into this technology, but they had the selfish desires, that came out and went out and took over the technology, and they started echoing that. And I think that became into something, if I look into terms of entertainment, the movie The Never Ending Story.
Oh, yeah.
You remember what the main antagonist there was? It wasn't the rock guy.
The nothing.
Yes.
Oh, the rock guy.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And the nothing was what? It was dissolving Fantasia.
Yes.
It was dissolving from matter into energy.
Uh-huh.
Just as the transporter on Star Trek does, but that's different. It transports people, but it's still the same energy, breaking down, reassembling, the same thing. But the nothing describes how when these machines and these technology through selfish desires went array. And
that reminds me of the movie Wrinkle in Time. It was the same way. They had the dark, that dark energy was taking over as well. And yeah, that's interesting. Very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I think that one of them went up. One of the continents went up. We would call Pangea. Half of it went up, and it came down as rain and sand. And that does go into orgone technology, definitely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's why we have this undescribed sand, these deserts on this planet. That if the wind broke down, was a little bit, what do you call it? Not the gust wind, you know what I'm talking about? If it went down, all that sand would blow around the planet.
Hurricane? What are you talking about?
Where the wind is on the planet. You know what I'm talking about? That blows, the wind blows.
The Gale Force.
The belt? Van Allen belt?
It's a name for a wind force that is the
Gale Force, right?
The Gale Force?
I don't know.
The Schumann?
Got me. Sorry. No. Never mind.
Trade winds. Jet stream or trade winds. I'm looking in the chat.
Trade winds.
We're looking in the chat. They know.
Hey, the trade winds. I like that.
Yeah. It's the jet stream.
But geometric. Yes, the jet stream. Thank you. The jet stream. Thank you. Sorry. Apologize. It's like 12 o'clock. I apologize.
Didn't we say that?
The jet stream.
It's only 9 o'clock where you are, Barry.
Barry's in another timeline.
Where are you?
Barry's in the void.
I'm kidding. Go ahead.
It's all good.
We're messing with you.
I know. It's all good. But seriously, if the jet stream went a few feet down, most of the deserts would blow around the planet.
That's scary.
They're not natural. They're not natural is my point.
Yeah.
So how much of my past life memories goes along with what I can see geographically?
Wow.
Barry is in the future. That's what someone just wrote. That's probably exactly what's happening. Barry
That's
is in
right.
the future.
It's funny you say that. Michael J. Fox has been hanging out right here. You just can't see him. Right here, man. Him in the dock.
Back to the future.
That's why you thought it was midnight, because that's when they take off.
Oh, gosh. Flux capacitor. That'd be easy.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole time concept is been coming up a lot. When I've been going on different people's podcasts and stuff, and we're talking about remote viewing. People ask me quite often, is time even a thing when you're remote viewing? And I'm like, no, you can go forward or backwards in time. And, with the last week's show that I did about the Loveland Frogmen, okay, I was picking up that these things were part of a program that was part of the Montauk Project. Okay. But yet this was in 1970s and the Montauk Project didn't start till the 1980s, but yet they were like time traveling and stuff. So it's all confusing. Okay.
Do you two remember that old movie called The Island of Dr. Moreau?
I've heard of it. I don't remember seeing it.
I don't think I've seen it. Yeah.
I wonder how much of that is based on truth.
Truth.
Both of you have described these underground bases that are quite similar to what John Vivenko described to me when I'm interested in the chupacabra always. And the original ones that were described as being more marsupial, gray-looking things with the spikes.
Yeah.
And he had described them as coming from some type of underground base, lab type of thing that was also above and below. And when the hurricane hit that side of, I think it was Puerto Rico, he said, they escaped. And that's how they started being seen before they could be rounded up or whatever. But he described the nature of these beings as being genetic engineered, how they attack their children, and they eat their children. And that was a problem that the government had, trying to keep them from doing that, even though they're marsupials. That's a whole nother thing going on,
It is, Barry. And when I was in Puerto Rico, I was actually kind of stranded there for a week because I was on a cruise down in the Caribbean. And then when I went to come back, it was the year that there were 3 hurricanes that had hit Orlando, Florida. And I got stuck in Puerto Rico, and I'd never been there before, but we went to the El Yunque National Forest, and we were planning to go over there to do some kayaking at night because of the luminescence, which is super cool. But a lot of my friends who live there were telling me, don't go, don't do it, the chupacabra. And I'm like, what are you talking about? This was years ago. And I just thought that was a legend, but the people in Puerto Rico 100% believe in that. So I don't think that movie's too far off, because I couldn't believe they were like, you do not go out to that forest after dark. You'll get eaten. And I'm like, and they're like, and your kids will get eaten. They were very adamant about that.
And I've spoken a little bit how the chupacabra legend got completely blurred somehow, and that it comes out that they start saying in Texas and places like that, these chupacabras, and they're showing these type of dogs. And Monster Quest or one of those shows did something on that. And I kept looking at this going, that's not the original report of the chupacabra at all. But when I look at the thing they're saying they're seeing in Texas, it looks an awful lot to me like the Tasmanian tiger.
Oh, yeah.
The Tasmanian tiger had the jaw that opened up like that. And if you look, I think they call it thylacine. The last thylacine, even on film, anybody can look that up right now on YouTube. The last thylacine, it'll pull it up. You'll see it walking around in the black and white. I think that is what they're seeing as chupacabra now in Texas, based on certain rights and groups that try to preserve this genetic. That's very real,
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one thing. When the locals tell you not to go out at night because there's a monster in them woods, you don't go in them woods, okay?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I went in them woods and I did kayak and I did see the luminescence and it was beautiful. And I lived to tell the tale.
That sounds cool. That sounds cool.
I have to wonder, in Texas, they have a lot of dogman sightings, even at the border. There's a lot of dogmen. I wonder if these chupacabras could possibly be dogmen.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
All right, Jessica, you've taken a real interest in the chupacabra. And I'm not chupacabra, I'm sorry, dogman.
The dogman. I can't help it.
He loves the dogman.
Yes,
No, question to both of you. Of course, the type 2 or type B, whatever they call it, the one that looks like American Werewolf in London. No, thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
No, thank you. All right. That guy was a Dr. Pepper guy. He's a pepper. She's a pepper. Doctor. And then he wolfed out. And he gave it to Michael Jackson. He wolfed out in Thriller. I was like, man, that was a horrible era. Anyway.
That was awesome. That was the best werewolf ever. Michael Jackson, MJ is the Teen Wolf.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Wolf was the best wolf ever.
Michael Jackson was more, I think he was more of a cat being, actually. But check it out. So seriously, how many reports have you both come across now of actually the dogmen attacking people?
A lot,
Really?
actually. Yeah. Well, my friend Josh Turner just had a conference up in Tennessee, a Dogman conference. I was actually supposed to go, and last minute we had to back out. But it's very popular right now because there's so many sightings, and as a matter of fact, there is a gentleman. I believe Bettina Moss was interviewing him on her show tonight, same time as my show. So we might not have had as many viewers tonight. I don't know. But there is a gentleman that was at the conference that was at the LBL and says that he might be the last person that saw the alleged bow hunter. A lot of people have heard about the bow hunter that went missing and was possibly attacked by dogmen. And so he was there. He has his own account that same night. With some dogmen and Sasquatch, and he claimed I heard him on Josh Turner's show the other night. He was saying that from what he saw, and this wasn't recent, this happened a while back, but he said that it seemed as though there was a Sasquatch. From what I remember, I may not be recalling this correctly, but I think he said that it seemed like a Sasquatch was kind of telling the dogmen that he was ordering the dogmen, like sticking them on them and stuff. So they were working in conjunction with each other, the Sasquatch and the dogmen at the LBL. And he witnessed it.
I've never heard that.
Yeah.
In the different tribes that I've tried to research, I've never heard that between dogmen and Sasquatch.
Yeah.
I've always heard kind of the same thing, that they avoid each other.
Well, let me tell you, the LBL is a whole different ballgame. And that place is, is that Tanya?
I don't know. I can hear you guys. You kind of blocked out for a minute, but I can hear you.
So the LBL, I believe there's something more nefarious. I mean, it's very nefarious just having dogmen there. But I've remote viewed it, and I remote viewed the family that was attacked. And there's knowledge of these things there. The people that work there know about it. And I believe that some of them do come from some kind of underground facility, perhaps down there. So, I'm actually pretty fascinated with them right now, just because there's so many reports, and I've actually been asked to remote view it with some people's personal experiences, and so that's why, Barry. That's why I'm into it.
What do you think about the supposed hellhounds and those dogmen that are reported to be with government related? With what they call those dark sheds and those underground bases that look like shacks on the outside, but they're underground bases, and that they're dogmen guarding them.
They're related. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I remote viewed for DA Roberts, who was in the chat tonight earlier. He had an experience at the Joe Bald Recreation Area in Missouri, and there's a video that he made, and someone had spotted a year or two later, after he made this video, of something peeking out from behind a tree. And they zoomed in on it and they enhanced it, and it's clearly a beast of some sort. It looks like a goat man to me, but it's more of a dog man. And I remote viewed that for him.
I could be okay without seeing a dog man. I'm glad I live in Sasquatch territory. They kind of stay away out here, I guess.
Yeah.
But I actually stumbled upon, when I'm remote viewing, a lot of times I'll stumble upon things like underground facilities, and there happened to be one there. And yes, these things were coming in and out of that facility. So. And they were guardians. This thing was like a watcher, is what it was. I was picking up a watcher or a guardian, and it was a dogman. And clearly, if it wanted to have killed the humans that were there, it would have, but it didn't. It
was
more observing them.
A sentinel.
Yes.
Yes. Since I guess we're kind of private, we can talk about this. One thing about that ranch out there, Tanya, that is City Ranch. Well, you know what I mean.
I know.
Sorry.
Private.
God. Anyway,
just our YouTube channels. That's all.
Something interesting
that
the gentleman who seemed to have time to talk to me to death the first couple of times I was out there that owned it, he talked about this type of an eagle that was seen flying around Mount Adams, and also eating bird kill, but how it was so large, and that it was like, the way it was described to me, and I saw something weird like that flying around one day out there. I was out there for like 3 weeks the first time.
It's like a thunderbird,
Exactly. But they describe it. It sounds a lot like a cyborg and a sentinel. That it comes out and is watching at certain times and surveying. And when we hear about the cyborgs and things, even in Terminator, is that they need to support their biological components. Is that why it's seen eating roadkill? I mean, but it's weird the way it's described. It's not described. It's odd. I mean, when he's telling me this, I start picking up stuff, and I'm seeing, I'm a weirdo geek guy, but I start seeing the Transformers. The Transformers, the Dinobots had a certain dinosaur that looked like a pterodactyl.
Oh, yeah.
Pterodactyl. Yeah. And I keep seeing like that, like a sentinel that's similar to that, some sort of technology. Could be wrong, but I'll tell you, it's worth food for thought, if nothing else.
No, you're right. You're right. Because it's like, is it an actual animal or is it AI? You question that.
What's interesting is that I did a remote viewing show on modern day pterosaurs around the United States and all over the world. And they're here. They're everywhere.
That was a good show.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It blows my mind. All these shows blow my mind. I'm always just as shocked as everybody else. Okay. With all the data that we come up with. Yeah.
Well, how weird is that led us to talking about time skips and time edits that occurred during high times of high solar activity, which we're in right now.
Yeah.
High solar activity, and during 9/11, nobody just doesn't remember Hurricane Aaron, but also there was a bunch of pictures of this pterodactyl thing flying around the Twin Towers.
I remember that.
I mean, it could have been a hoax, I guess. But it's interesting how that just came out just before the attack.
Wow.
And people say, well, it was real, but it was a remote control. Okay.
Yeah.
Or what if it's a ship?
Good point.
I mean, maybe we should remote view it.
Yeah.
It's another idea for a show. Thank you guys, everybody in the chat, for giving me these great suggestions. I am writing them down. Okay,
I know. They've got good ones.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not familiar with that hum, the Taos hum. Is that New Mexico? I mean, I'm not familiar with that. That sounds really cool.
I don't know, but there's areas where the ley lines really are significantly more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Mexico, Dulce, Mexico, along with Salt Lake City, and then that one off of Florida. So you wonder if, those areas are even more amplified. If you look at that map that you had, there's like higher concentrations in certain areas with the ley lines.
Let's see. Yeah, we'll pull up the
Yeah,
map.
right there. Mm-hmm.
Oh, good map. That's a nice map.
Wow, they're right at the tip down there in Mexico. Wow.
Interesting. I see a spot like right by.
Look,
Wow.
And not too far from New Orleans, like Louisiana, right? Or
Yep.
There's that Texas.
Yeah, Baton Rouge right there.
Baton Rouge.
Well, geez, I grew up in Buffalo. There looks like there's one going through there too, a whole bunch of them. Interesting.
Wow. Well,
it's just me. There are a lot more ley lines than there were 20 years ago. Jeez.
Yeah, there probably is.
I was going to just my imagination.
I don't know. I mean, how do they determine where the ley lines are? I mean, I don't know. Do you guys know? I mean,
is it seismic?
Mm-hmm.
I think this was based on, right? Seismic activity.
That's a good question. Maybe that's something we need to look into. I don't know. I just go by the map. And actually I can go by my energy. I can kind of feel like there's a few there that run through Spokane. And my friend says that she's been going over to this area that it's all locked down, but she says she can feel the energy and there's a lot of government officials there. And so she's like, you need to come with me. I'm like, oh geez, I'm going to go in and investigate this area, but it's where those three ley lines converge.
Wow.
I just saw somebody's question pop up there. I just saw that. I haven't seen that yet.
Okay,
Oh, I
yeah.
can send you
You
that
just change
that
something or
map,
did
Nona
you?
Boss. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, and I can send it to you, Marty,
Mhm.
too. So we've all got the map. Tanya and I both have it. So yeah, I'll post it on my Facebook page. That is a great idea,
There
Laura.
you
Thank
go.
you.
Good idea.
Yeah,
We all can go to the
we'll
ley
post it
line.
after the show tonight. Yeah. Oh, here we go. CD Squatchers got it. Ley lines are straight alignments drawn between various historic structures. The idea was developed in the early 20th century Europe. Okay, but how do they determine exactly? I mean, because I would think ley lines were there before the historical
They
structures,
were
right?
because of the pyramids. They're built on the ley
Yeah,
lines too, right?
yeah, yeah.
And then
I
there's
don't know.
nodes. Yeah, there's a whole
Maybe
lot.
aliens. I think it was aliens. We're gonna go with aliens. Okay, I'm kidding. It's always aliens,
Chariots of the gods.
right? We have no idea. I have no idea.
I think you both should really look at High Brazil and the other phantom islands that I put down in that video I did. You probably haven't seen it, Tanya. I'll send it to you.
Yeah,
I mean,
send it to
seriously,
me.
I mean, I'm dying to know. Tell me about it, and if my theory on them is even right. But
Yeah,
yeah.
that'd be fun. That'd be really fun.
Mhm.
I'm trying to
It's
get
cool.
Jessica to do the Brown Mountain Lights.
Yeah,
Hold on,
I've got a good list right now.
I don't know what those are. That's not
They're
the.
here. They're here
That's
down in the
not
south.
those one lights on
They're
on
like
the
in the
road.
Appalachian Mountains, and it's
They're
just
in North
really weird.
Carolina. I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure. I think they're in North Carolina, and it's the Brown Mountain Lights. I've heard about it forever, but I've never been there. All my team's been up there, and all my friends, but not me. But it's not too far
Where
from
they're
where I live.
remotely.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'll be remote viewing it. I don't know. I know in that area is where they have. It's not too far from where they have the sky ships over cachers. The sky ships over cachers I have seen, and those are UFOs for sure.
That's cool.
Mhm. Yeah. So a lot of high strangeness up in those Appalachian Mountains.
For sure.
Yeah.
And Sasquatch activity, Lord.
Well, and the mountain giant Judicola. I did a show on him 2 weeks ago.
Jessica, where we met, that was Helen, Georgia, right?
Was it Germantown?
Unicoi.
Yeah,
Unicoi. I met Barry at Unicoi State Park. Yes.
That's cool.
In North Georgia. It was in Helen. That's right.
Boy, I'll tell you, the back part of that property was really active.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It was. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of activity up there. I mean, that's why I do a lot of bigfooting around that area. Okay. So
that's a beautiful area too. Oh, so pretty.
Yeah, it is. Okay.
Little swampy.
A little swampy?
I'm sorry for all you folks in the South. It's a little swampy over there. When I get down there, I get these weird plantation type of vibes.
No, you're right.
It freaks me out. I don't like it.
Yeah, it's different when you get into the South versus Florida. I didn't feel that in Florida, but when you start to drive north from Florida, it's like you can really feel that vibe for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Barry, we have a question. Holly wants to know, what is High Brazil?
High Brazil is an island that is seen about every 7 years or so. It materializes and is seen, and it's always seen by a bunch of fog is around it, and it's one of several islands that are quote unquote called phantom islands. And High Brazil is normally seen like every 7 years, then it disappears and another one appears. And God, I did a video about it. I can't think of the name of that one, but they seem to have this cycle, and it's so interesting because if we want to correlate that with actually entertainment, on the original King Kong, the Skull Island thing was masked in type of fog. Ooh. Same type of thing. So I think that's how that's shown there. And there's several of these islands, and if you look up High Brazil, HYBRASIL, on the internet, you'll see pictures of people that are taking pictures that appear to be a city above another city, and even Hong Kong and other places. I think that's what this is. Taking really a step forward, I think that is actually an inner Earth vessel that comes up every 7 years to recharge its solar cells. But we'll talk about that another time.
Whoa, that's awesome. Okay, we're going to definitely have to look into that one.
Part of the fog thing is these engines that convert like water into orgone, this orgone conversion process. it creates part of the byproduct is it creates this fog, this mist, and it's often used by these ships as cloaking devices, and we call that lenticular clouds. But it's connection there.
I see lenticular clouds a lot out here over the mountains. Yeah.
Wow.
Both natural phenomenon, but then there's something else, and especially pay attention if you see a little rainbow stripe in the middle of them. Look at that rainbow stripe. That's part of that. That's part of that technology conversion.
That's really cool.
Even if it's organic, you see certain side effects.
Yeah, because I've noticed when I look at rainbows, I see ships oftentimes. I may not see it with my physical eye, but if I take a picture of the rainbow, oftentimes I'll see the ship in the picture. So I do think that they're in that area. Yeah. So look at the rainbows for sure.
There's people in the chat tonight too that aren't familiar with what orgone is. What is orgone energy?
Oh,
yeah. Either one of y'all.
Orgonite. Okay, so I think it was William Reich. Was it William Reich that created it? Riech, I think you spell his name. But yeah, he created. Well, he came about orgone energy. I'm sure it was created long before him. But you can manipulate the weather with it. You can create transmute energy with it. You can create battery sources out of it. Oftentimes, here, let me see. Here's one. So this is an orgone. So you can see this one's made with shungite. It has selenite, and then it's got copper pieces or metal pieces in it. And then it has a clear quartz crystal in the middle, and it's wrapped with copper. And then it's in a resin. So what it does is it's a powerful energy source. And so you can, this is excellent for like 5G towers. If you're near 5G towers or anywhere that has dense or heavy energy, this will transmute it. It doesn't block it. Excuse me, it actually transmutes it, which means it takes it from one vibration and circulates it to a different vibration. But yeah, look up William Reich. He is fascinating. And I actually had a friend who created one of these in Alaska, and he had rain clouds over his house. And when he created one, it was probably about 3 feet tall. I think he said he created it. And within 30 minutes, the rain clouds were gone over his house. And there was blue sky above his house, and everywhere else it was raining. And then the moment he took it down, the clouds came right back in again. So, this is a part of, you can use it for a variety of things, but they use it a lot for weather modulation. I actually have friends who create these, and they make pucks, look like hockey pucks, and they put them all around the 5G towers because it will transmute the energy. So yeah, orgonite it's amazing. I wear it as an empath. I wear it a lot because it'll transmute that energy, but it's powerful stuff.
Orgone itself, as devised from Wilhelm Reich, was based off the orgasm itself and the explosive energy that occurs at the orgasm itself, and how that is truly the life energy. And we could take that and connect that through other cultures to pranayama yoga, breathing. And then also chi. It's all the same thing. And I've seen the same type of energy polarized on craft being used, and they're calling it the living light.
Yeah.
And it's part of the crew and part of the energy of the craft itself, which I found now I've had to accept is older than the crew, maybe thousands of years old, if not more, a space organism. But anyway, that's another subject. But anyway, that's where orgone really kicks in. And he was using the boxes to actually kind of condense it around people and harness it, and he also did something else. It's very interesting when you look at his research called bion technology and sand bions, and really how they actually vibrated at a certain resonant level that was hazardous to cancer cells in the human body. So he did a whole lot of work, and I dealt a little bit. Dr. Rudy Shields and I did a little work together, and he went out to actually the Wilhelm Reich Institute, where his actually property, and saw a lot of those devices. And something that I realized I was missing when I was younger, and I would play with cloud busters. I designed a few of them, and I did that basically on Trevor Constable's information. Which is viable, but that was based on Reich also. But I was unaware of what DOR was. And I was getting sick sometimes when I was combusting, when I was dissipating nimbus clouds. And, I still still have yet to hear all the people talking about orgone talk about DOR.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Deadly orgone radiation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what actually holds nimbus clouds together. And when I started busting those around these devices I was making, they would, first of all, I wasn't grounding them. So I didn't know that much. I was a kid, kind of, okay. But I didn't know to ground them into the ground source. But they were actually accumulating DOR after these cloud bustings. And then I started seeing on ultraviolet, with ultraviolet spectrum on those old Kodaks, these things around the machines that were helping make me sick. And, people say, were they archons? I don't know. To me, they look like biological creatures similar to amoeba, but they're feeding on this negative DOR, period.
Interesting.
Wow. Well, we have gone from the Coral Castle to talking about orgasm energy tonight.
Which is very powerful, and I did do a podcast on that.
You never know what you're going to get on remote viewing investigations. Yeah. We covered the whole spectrum here on our show. So
literally. Well, I thank you ladies for the work you're doing. I think you two are brilliant. I think you make a good team, and you really elaborate things and for everyone to understand. So thank you for that.
Thank
you, Barry. I mean, a lot of my research came from your videos.
I know. I'm always referencing your videos, Barry.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
You set the foundation there. And so we're just kind of bouncing off that, using the foundation there that you set.
Well, thank you. It's very nice of you guys. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you. And thank you guys both for joining me on this crazy ride, especially tonight. This has been fun.
This was a really fun remote view. Absolutely.
It is.
I feel like I need to go back when I go visit my sister in Florida. Maybe I'll make a special trip over to go check it out.
Yeah. I'm planning to go down there too. I know I've got some new friends down at War Party Paranormal and also Supernatural Spectrum with Matt Williamson and his mom. Marty. Yeah, Nana Boss. She's in the chat tonight and she's going to be on my show this Sunday night. So everybody please tune in tomorrow night and Sunday, I've on Spaced Out Radio. I have Bettina Moss is going to be on the show tomorrow night. We're going to be talking about her Dogman experiences, and then Sunday I've got Nana Boss coming on, Marty. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm probably going to talk about the Coral Castle on Sunday too with Marty because she's actually the one who suggested that I do this one, and she's part of my Patreon. Yeah, So she's very familiar with that place. So we're going to talk about it a little more on Sunday. So yeah. But yeah, so we tied it all in with the coral berry. Thank you for bringing that up tonight with the ET connection. And yeah, so again, thanks everybody for being here tonight. And I guess we'll wrap it up. And yeah, everybody have a great night. And I guess I'll see y'all again next Friday night. And yeah, thank y'all so much. And I'll see y'all. I may be on not after hours. I might be on Space Out Radio tonight. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm going to be there or not, but I might be on Space Out Radio later. Y'all tune in. Okay. And so, yeah. So everybody, y'all have a great night. I guess I need to get ready to close this out, huh? I am.
This was fun, and the chat was really exciting. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, the chat was off the chain tonight. You guys are so smart.
God, I kind of felt like I interrupted you guys' flow. You two were on such a flow.
No, Barry, you brought in some good information. No,
right.
Wow, that's cool. Thank you, Sigrid. You guys are really killing it. You guys are knocking out of the ballpark. I'm telling you.
Oh, thank you. Oh, and Whitney's in here. Whitney's one of my longtime friends. What's up, Whitney? Thank you for hopping in the chat tonight. All right, y'all. Well, listen, everybody have a great night. Y'all have a great weekend. If I don't see you again, have a great week. And I'm sending everybody lots of love and light tonight. And we'll see y'all next time. Y'all have a good night. Bye, Tanya. Bye, Barry. Thank y'all.